So the next part that we want to do is then make sure that this component is being updated with the interiors. So after we, one other step we're going to do is after we add that value, we're going to make the value equal to 0. So it clears out the string. We're then going to, so let's do this, add side, and then we're going to update display. So just like we grabbed the side input, we're going to now grab the dice sides. Dice sides. So by grabbing the dice sides, we can, with dice sides, edit another value that exists, which is kind of cool. It's called, this key is inner HTML in all caps, and it's a string of the inner HTML. So it's literally a string of this type of stuff. So what we're going to tell it to do is be equal to empty, so that it's cleared out, and then we're going to set it equal to user dice dot face values. All right, and now this should all be wired up to work, except for right here we need to actually tell it to run the function. So that's good. Save this and we'll run it. We see that our lines are now, so let's do heads, add it, cool. What if we do tails, add it, awesome. So we can add heads and tails, and we could just keep adding more and more. Now let's add another functionality. We have this cool functionality called roll within our dice, so let's allow the user to roll. So we're going to add a h1 tag, and say roll, and we're gonna have another, we're just gonna add this up here that says create, just to give us some separation there. And so we'll have a button. Strangely enough, we'll just copy this one because they're fairly similar. And it's going to be roll, like that, and this one's going to be roll user dice. So very similar to what we've done so far. We're going to do var roll user dice, and this is equal to a function that doesn't take anything, and what we're going to do is we need a place for our roll to be displayed. So let's do a div and we're going to say that its ID is equal to roll result. So we're going to do, let's do this. So now we have this roll result that we're grabbing by the ID. And so now that we have that object, we're going to essentially do this. We're going to set its inner HTML to nothing and then set it equal to user, dot user dice dot roll. What is user dice dot roll again? Let's just reference that. So we take the index randomly and we return the index of the array. So the random generated index, we return that. Cool. So that looks about right. Let's update this and run it. And now we've got our headers, and then if we do a roll, undefined. Cool, because there's nothing defined in our array yet. So let's do heads, add that. Let's do tails, add that one. Roll, heads. Oh, tails, heads, tails. Cool. So that's that. Another route we could take is copy this and add it like that. And just for prettiness sake, we could do a BR just so that we know that it's breaking. And if we update and run that, we can add tails and heads. And then if we do that, oh, it's still wiping it out. Oh, because we're setting it, sorry, setting it equal, goodness. We are setting it equal to an empty string still. So if we run that, do heads and tails and roll it, they'll just keep adding a new line. This break is important. If we didn't do this break, they would just keep lining up horizontally. Man, getting a lot of tails. There we go, there's some heads. And I just keep adding them and having to scroll down. So that's another route. I personally like the route where we're clearing it out and putting the new one in. Probably actually don't have to do the clear out, just to make our code a little bit simpler. So if we run that and do heads, tails, and roll that, same effect. Don't need to clear out the value. That's probably more effective. Cool. So that's that. That's wiring up a front end to it. Next, we're going to move into making the front end look better.